Hey YouTube, it's Fred here from HilliansBricks. We hope you're well, and today is the last day of 2020, so this is going to be my last video of the year. So 2020 has been a strange year for many, but if one thing has happened in 2020, it has kind of like made me rediscover my love for Lego, and it started up this YouTube channel. Also, I started up my Bricklink store, and I've started looking more and more in terms of investing in Lego to kind of fund my hobby. So yes, Lego is my hobby first and foremost, but I also realized, as probably many of you know, that Lego can be a wise investment. So in this video, I wanted to share some tips and some different ways in terms of looking at investing in Lego and share that with you. So yes, as already mentioned, this year we started up our own Bricklink Brick Owl store. So for people who are not familiar with that, that's a place where you can buy sets, but also parts, every single piece of Lego that you can imagine. You can buy there individually or bulk buy, and from other people around the world, and then they ship it to you. And it's a well-known platform, and Bricklink is actually owned by Lego since a year and a half ago, so I believe now. And it's kind of like the encyclopedia for all things Lego. Now, what you might not know is that, but many people know that the parts in the Lego sets tend to be worth more sold individually than the set, and that's what people go and open Bricklink stores. They buy sets, they part them out, and then they sell the parts individually. Now, there's quite a few watch out. So this is one thing that we do. We have our own Bricklink store, but I just want to share you, if you think about doing this, there's some watch out. So first and foremost, you need inventory, and quite a lot of it. So the more lots and the more bricks you have, the better. So variety seems to be the key, and typically you need to look for a ratio of 3:1. So what I mean by that is, when you buy a set, let's say it's £10, so you can buy a set for £10, you'll be looking for the part out value, which means the cost of all the bricks that you can get needs to be about £30 or more for it to be lucrative, because you got to bear in mind that not all the parts will sell. You also need to buy packaging, postage, PayPal fees. There's also some Bricklink fees, which I believe is around 3%. And you need a lot of effort as well to manage it. So it might not be for everybody, and it might take some time before you start selling. And you need space. That's a big problem. That's why actually, if you follow my channel, we are converting our garage to give me a bit more room to actually start storing my Lego in a more efficient way. So just to give you some idea, in the 6 months that I've done my Bricklink store, I've spent more money than I've got out of it. So to me, that has not made any money yet. Yes, I would say it's profitable, but I've kind of used those profits to reinvest into kind of like expanding my store and making it bigger. But yes, from a cash perspective, I've definitely not made any cash yet. So it's not a quick return, I would say. So it's something that will take time before you see some money. So, but it is a possible thing to do, but it also takes a lot of effort, and you need to kind of know what you're doing as well, understand what you're buying, understand what sells. So it takes quite a bit of time before, I'll say, you get some return on investment. So it's an opportunity, but it's not there for everybody. Now, the second one I want to highlight in terms of opportunities is probably one that anybody can do quite quickly, and that's what I call store arbitrage. So it's kind of like buying deals very cheap and then selling them quite quickly onwards at a higher price. Now, often you will find from various retailers online and in the supermarkets that they're looking to shift, some stock, or they're making very good deals on certain sets, and it's then the opportunity to buy those sets and then resell them at a higher price. And what I mean a higher price is kind of like the price just under what the normal Lego price would be. So let's say a set would be like £100 normally if you buy it at lego.com, and you suddenly see it advertised somewhere for like £50 or £60 somewhere. You might want to buy that and then kind of resell it on places like Facebook or whatever marketplaces where you don't have to pay any fees for like £85-90. So that's something that you can do quite quickly. Sell it back on locally. Making sure that you have a good quality box as well is important. So that's one way that you can do. Now, it's not a proven strategy, because you might again need to hold some of your stock. You might need to need some space, need to keep the box in good condition, and you need to make sure you buy stuff that is going to be wanted. You don't want to buy something that's readily available, something at £10 that's normally costs £15. I think the bigger sets for this kind of might be more beneficial if you want to sell locally. but then it's also a bigger gamble. So you kind of gotta have to trade off. This is not one of the strategies I've been doing. I tend to buy the cheap deals and then part them out, so my perspective. But it is something that I know that other people do, is just to flip them quite cheaply and, you know, see if what the prices are on eBay, or maybe they sell them on eBay as well, but bear in mind that you have to pay a fee in there. But that's another way of making some money on Lego. Now, the third one, and it's probably quite a popular one, is kind of like a long-term strategy investing with Lego. Now, lots of people look for some of the bigger sets that they hope will retire soon, and then typically when Lego sets retire, the prices go up. Now, this doesn't happen with all sets, but with a lot of the sets, they tend to appreciate in value over time. Now, you got to make sure that you buy sealed sets, you know, brand new sets, in good condition, the boxes, and you got to take care of them. So there's some themes that are more popular than others that tend to do quite well over time, especially when they're retired. So sets like Architecture, Speed Champions, Lego IDs, so modular buildings, you know, Star Wars. Those are some of the themes that have done quite well. That doesn't mean that they will do quite well in the future. But if you look at a site called brickeconomy.com, it kind of has a good reference on terms of what the prices have been doing on some historical sets, so you can kind of have an idea of what works well, what doesn't work well. They kind of give you a forecast as well, which I think is a bit off the mark, I would say, but it kind of gives you at least some sort of idea what you might want to look into. Now, bear in mind that also a lot of it will depend on various factors, so there's quite a few watch outs with this strategy. Now, first of all is storage. You need to keep all the boxes in great condition, sealed, because that's how you keep the value of those sets. You know, you want to make sure it's a dry room. You don't want any damp, so the boxes don't get damaged. The big factor here is that you don't know how long the Lego sets are going to be still active for, because this is a strategy that you'll only be selling once they retire, and then you might even wait for a year after they retired to get the optimum value. And also there's a risk that once a set is retired, maybe Lego will relaunch it. So now there's two sets recently. I think it's like the big NASA rocket, the Saturn V, and Lego IDs. I think there's the ship in a bottle. Those sets were retired and they have now been relaunched. People who had those in stock and are holding on to them, waited to appreciate, will have seen that they're now back, and you know the price of those might now drop significantly because people buy them again. So that's a risk that you might want to calculate for and not take into and hold on to stock for too long, because there's always a risk that Lego could bring back a set. And this is something they've done not often, but it could happen. And also take into consideration how long has a set been out for. If it's only been like a short run for like 18 to 24 months, that's considered quite short. But you know, anything above 2-3 years. Now, if you look, for example, the Volkswagen camper van that's been out for like 5-6 years. Now that's due to retire or has retired. That's not a set, in my opinion, that is going to do well, because there have been so many manufactured and it's been out for so long. I can see that's going to struggle from an appreciation perspective. Now, other things you need to take into consideration when you look at this strategy is the shipping boxes. So when you buy things, you need to obviously ship these elements to whoever buys it from you. Now you will need to make sure that it's packaged nicely. And you need to make sure it's the shipping boxes. So when you buy sets and you think about investing in them, also think, what sizes do the sets come in? Can I sell them as a medium parcel, a small parcel, or these big boxes that then I need a bigger box around it, you know, and the weight, all those factors that you have to take into consideration. And again, Bricklink is a good source for all this sort of information, because you can just type in the set number and it gives you the weight, the dimensions and everything. So you already have an idea of what the sizes are even before going into a store and buying it. Now, the benefit on this strategy is, by the way, that you don't have to spend much time on doing it, whereas the parting out is where you take a lot of time. The next thing that you need to take into consideration is, when is the right time to sell? As I already mentioned, you don't want to hold on for too long, but you also don't want to sell too early. So you want to keep track on when do sets retire. And then also, the way I look at it now, this is a strategy I've only just started, so it's difficult for me to kind of give a lot of good recommendations on this, but what I'm looking out for is to see the availability. Now, just to give you an example, I bought three actually, Lego Diners, the modular building. Those were purely from a reselling perspective in the future, because now they have retired. But when I looked on eBay a few days ago, there was like over 120 of them available. So for me, clearly this is not the optimum time to sell, because it's only just retired and there's so many of them available still at a higher price than what I paid for. So I could make a quick profit if I wanted to. But I think there's better value to be had by holding on, maybe another 6 to 12 months, and then look back to see what's that decision, or the right one, or do I sell it now? I think it's something with experience. I'll be able to tell by theme when is the best time to sell, or when it's still time to hold on to it. I did mention that you also need to keep in consideration that there's going to be eBay fees on top of shipping fees. So if you also sell on Amazon, there's also fees there, and they can be quite hefty. You're talking double-digit percentage. I think eBay between 10 and 15%. I'm not sold on Amazon, but I think it's even higher than that. But yeah, keep that into consideration as well. So not everything is pure profit when you look at it. And then there's PayPal fees as well. And then the other thing that you have on top of it is that all this money that you're investing in this is just tied up. So it's your Lego, your money, your cash is just tied up in Lego sets, and it's just sitting there. So it's not making you money. This is why I've started initially doing the Bricklink store, because at least I'm getting some sort of income from selling, bits and pieces here and there, and it keeps the cash flow going. Whereas with this strategy, it is purely long term. You tie it up for a few years, and hopefully within 2-3 years, you'll start to see some money will start to come in the future by selling sets that you could then reinvest. That's the plan, and that's what we're hoping for. Now, big thing to watch out for, that not everything appreciates in value. So there is a risk. So keep that in mind. You're not going to be able to get profit every single time, but if you buy it at the right price, I would say you the worst case scenario is you should get your money back, as long as you keep it in a sealed condition. But depends again very much on the type of set that you buy. If you buy sets that are very small and manufactured loads of times, you might struggle to get your money back. And I'd say one big factor that you need to also consider is that you're not alone. There's lots of people who are now caught onto the fact that Lego does this, so there's lots of people who are now starting to do this. So will Lego still appreciate as much as they have done in the past? I doubt it. Will it mean that less people are going to do it? I'm not sure, but it's something that again, time will tell. So the past success doesn't mean that the future is going to be the same success. So that's kind of what I wanted to share as well. Make sure that you're not going all in, because this is not necessarily a proven measure. So do be careful if you're looking to start investing in Lego, because yes, it has done well till now, and I think kind of the pandemic's kind of helped with that as well. Lots of new people getting into Lego as well, but will that continue? That's the question mark, right? Now, there's one final thing I wanted to, some final points that I just wanted to share in terms of all those 3 elements. So what I'm doing personally from my perspective, I start doing, the Bricklink store, and I'm now starting a few sets that I'm just putting on the side. I'm not going all in on this long-term plan, because I think it's still quite risky and I don't know the details yet. So for me, pretty much I'm concentrating on the Bricklink store. And then I'm also starting to put some sets apart for the future, and we'll see how that works. It's kind of like an experiment, so let's say. So some important points I wanted to mention is that do your research before you get involved into Lego. I really try and understand it. Make sure that you're a fan of Lego and you're doing it for the right reason, right? Worst case scenario doesn't pull off, you've got a great set to build. If you just purely look at it from making money and then it doesn't actually sell, what are you going to do with it? That's one thing I would make sure that you do know what you're doing. One thing I would also recommend is always look for the best deals. And actually subscribing to this channel will help, because we got lots of videos occasionally where we highlight some great deals that are currently available in the UK, so people snap them up quickly. So if you subscribe to this channel, you'll get notification of when those videos are launched, so keep an eye out for those. Also take advantage of cashback offers, even if you're buying from lego.com or other retailers. I tend to use a website called Quidco. There's a link to the description below. where you can sign up for free, and you know, on Lego.com you even get like cashback offers between 3 to 12%, and some of those sets, you know, you get extra cashback. It's always a nice added bonus in my opinion, and you know, I always go through those sites just to get that extra cashback. So every single percent helps you improve your return on investment. So definitely look for that. So yeah, that's kind of like the 3 last points I wanted to share. I kind of hope you enjoyed this content. So we will definitely be bringing more videos in the new year. So we hope you all stay safe, and there'll be more coming next year. That's it. Bye for now.